In this video, I will show you how we made Roman soldier helmets out of paper mache. These helmets were used in our Roman soldier themed VBS program. In our program, we had a good guy. His name was King Righteousness. And we had a villain. You always gotta have a villain, right? His name was Baron von Evil. The story is about putting on the whole armor of God. The sword of the Spirit was stolen.
And I will start my reign by... Baron Faithful, my trusted friend, come tell me what news you have.
O King, at this very hour, the sword of the Spirit has been stolen from the palace.
What? The sword of the Spirit? We must find it, for I cannot go into battle without the full armor of God.
Baron von Evil thought to use it to rule the kingdom.
Then I shall be Lord of the kingdom, and I'll kick that goody-goody right out of the kingdom.
The army of soldiers assisted the king in retrieving the stolen sword. To make the helmets, we need large balloons. They need to be large enough to fit a head inside. So if you can imagine the balloon the size of the helmet. Blow them up to the size needed and tie them off when they're the right size. Now if you're making smaller helmets for children, then they don't need to be as big. We used newspapers that were cut into strips. I was making an army of soldiers, so we needed lots of newspapers. I recruited my children to help me because we needed to make several helmets. We made the glue using flour and water. Use equal amounts of water and flour. Flour has gluten in it, so when activated, it becomes very sticky. Therefore, glue. Stir vigorously to activate the gluten. This is a very cheap way to make your own glue. Run the paper through the glue, then run your fingers down both sides to wipe off any excess glue. You can start with long strips, but it may be easier to use shorter strips. When you place the first strips on the balloon, you will notice the balloon is no longer balanced. The wet paper adds weight, so you may need someone else to help hold the balloon so that it doesn't roll off the table. We later learned that placing the balloon that you're working on in a large bowl helps to stabilize the balloon from running away from you. Do not cover the tied end of the balloon because we will later use that to hang the balloon up when it's drying. But do cover the remaining part of the balloon. Cover more than you think you need. You can always use the extra cut-off pieces to add shapes or designs to the helmets. Try to make an even layer of paper. Once the whole balloon has been covered, you can add a second layer. Add the paper strips in different directions. If you have children helping you, remind them not to keep piling the paper in the same place or the same direction. You don't want to put more in one place and less in other places because it will make some areas thick and some areas thin. And thin areas could more easily be punctured. Where the diameter of the balloon is smaller, you may need shorter pieces. It's a good idea to change the direction of how you place the strips. Eventually, the whole balloon will be all wet, so you can just start putting dry strips on top of the wet layer of the balloon until you have to start overlapping them. Then just add glue on that little part that overlaps. Tie a string around them or clip them with clothespins or some kind of a clip to a string and find a place to hang them overnight. They might drip depending on how thick or how wet your mixture is. We recruited more help the next day to make more helmets. After they're dry, we can cut them the shape that we want. We can use the cut-off pieces to add more parts to the helmet, so save those pieces. We hang them to dry overnight, a day or two. The thicker the layers, the longer it will take to dry. The balloon will be kind of heavy when it's wet, but when dry, it will be a lot lighter. We found out that it took 3 days, 3 full days to dry completely. You can add more layers when it's dry. Here's the first helmet. It is very hard. If the helmet is too big for the person who will wear it, you can glue foam cushions inside the helmet for a better fit. This is the beginning shape before we add the crest and the visor. To form the crest, I made small holes to place toothpicks in a line. I actually staggered the toothpick, the left side of the line, the right side of the line, so that I could put the piece of tag board kind of to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, so I could kind of keep it sort of straight, right down the middle of the helmet. Now we could start to glue strips of paper, gluing the crest to the helmet, over the helmet, up and over, you see what I mean. And you can make it as thick as you like it to be. Now I am making a visor. It will not be hinged. It will be permanently affixed in the open position for our VBS kit. I used multiple layers of paper that were folded in half. I basically took a newspaper that was already folded in half. It had several layers and I just cut the shape I needed. It's very flexible. It will go on like this, but I need to cover it with short strips of paper to enclose all the open ends of the layers of paper. Now we need to glue the visor to the helmet. Now it's really starting to get heavy. That's probably still because it's wet, but it's getting pretty thick. I was in charge of designing the costumes because I love making costumes. Here I am sewing armor out of shiny metallic looking material. I used silver, gold, and bronze so that we could have different armies if needed. When beginning sewing these costumes, I did not yet know what the storyline was to be, so I had a red army and a blue army. I used padding in the breastplates and I quilted patterns on the breastplate, the armbands, and the leg bands. Here's one of the armbands. They will have Velcro strips to attach them. And here's the basic costume. You can get free white sheet material by going to hotels and asking if they have any worn out or stained sheets they'd like to discard, and you can get them for free. This is what I used to make the tunics for each of the soldiers. I added ribbon or bias tape for the stripes on the sleeves and the bottom hem. On this first costume, I made a vest, but later, to save on materials, I just made a belted skirt using felt. The vest would add an unnecessary extra layer which might make the costume too warm. I studied these armbands. The cape is attached to the breastplates by hooks and buttons, the kind that you might find on an apron or a pair of overalls. My children have fun dressing up. When the helmets were done, we spray painted them gold or silver. I made a special helmet for our villain, Baron von Evil. I made a dragon on his helmet to represent evil and added horns.
But right now, let us prepare me for battle. Get my new helmet.
His helmet had to be black with a touch of red.
Innocent. And get my shiny new sword, for tonight I will be Lord of the Kingdom.
I quilted snakes into his armor. He insisted upon a short cape to add a touch of goofiness to his costume.
What do you think?
King Righteousness had a gold set of armor. I made his helmet fancier than the other helmets, which I kept plain. His skirt was made with black leather and had sequined gold crosses. The stripes on his tunic is black with a gold design on it. Oh, I just wanted him to look, more dressed up than the rest of the gang. You can really design the helmets however you like to fit your needs. The materials are cheap. I did buy some red fuzzy material to glue on top of the crest. The project was done so many years ago Now that I can't really remember what it was called. I don't know if it was yarn, I don't know if it was braided or what it was. Roman soldiers typically had red dyed horsehair on their crest, but I didn't really know how to do that.
I pass my crown to you. Rise and show honor to your new king. All hail! King Righteousness!
I will, sir.
I made spear-shaped heads to put on broom handles to look like spears.
Fine. Thank you, loyal soldier, strong and courage.
You could really make just about anything out of paper mache. The VBS children really loved this skit, especially the sword fighting on the last night. I did not make the swords or the shields, but for your information, they were made of wood. Steve Robb made them. He attached a metal plate to the front of the shields, and I painted a design on each one. If you would like to see the whole VBS skit, watch my video titled VBS Program Roman Soldiers, the Armor of God on my other channel. It's called You Fix It Mom, where I post older videos. The link to it is on my channel page. Click for more links to see the link to the channel You Fix It Mom. Most of the videos on that channel are old family videos when I was much younger and my children were just growing up. Please help me to build that channel by subscribing to that channel also. My children were a part of the army of Roman soldiers in this VBS skit that we did in 2001.
You found anything, Soldier Courage?
Not a thing, Soldier Strong, and I have searched all the kingdom.
So have I. The only place I didn't look was in Baron von Evil's palace. So it's really up to you and me to find that sword and save the kingdom. Let's go.
Are they friend or foe?
I'm afraid they are foes, sire.
Whose army is it?
I wish it were not me telling you this, sire. It is your black-hearted brother.
Baron von Evil?
Yes, sire. Sire, forgive my acting, but how did he turn out so nasty and you so good?
I'm not sure, Faithful, but it could be one of two things, I guess.
What are they, sire?
Well, when he was only 6 years old, he fell right into the moat, and he almost drowned. He claims that I pushed him.
The fiend. What's the other one, sire?
It's just too horrible to mention, Faithful.
Please tell me, sire.
He didn't eat his veggies. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand against the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all of the fiery darts.
For thou hast shown courage, soldier willing. I bestow upon you my shield of faith. Thank you.
And take the helmet of salvation. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Let us go into battle with the full armor of God. On evil, it is good to see you, brother. Be glad you, brother. By the way, why are you so nasty? Vitamin deficiency.
I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll have fun with paper mache, a creative, cheap material to make costume accessories or whatever you need.